Now here's where the slots come in handy. When you get them all up there, you can adjust them to get them just right. I got the middle one set. This one needs... Hey guys, welcome back for another video. I've got 3 tips here, 3 easy projects that you can probably do right now or at least this weekend, maybe completely for free. It depends on what you've got around your home. Now I guarantee you at least one of these things, if not more than one, is going to be valuable in whatever space you're dealing with, whether it's a regular living room like I have here or a dedicated space. These are all some things that you can at least check and probably improve. So I've got some simple stuff here. I got some 2-inch wooden blocks. I've got some Z-clips, and these are better than the ones that even come with the panels that you may have bought. And I've got one of my acoustic panels here. I've got a lot of these acoustic panels, not only in this home, but over at my parents'. I've bought from both Acoustimac and GIK. Both of them put out absolutely stellar products. And we're going to be nearly doubling the performance, relatively speaking, of at least some of my panels here by adding an air gap. What's an air gap? That is simply the space behind the panel to the wall. This is part of a design that I have hanging in my main hallway. My main panels that I'm going to be showing you the project on are 2 foot by 4 foot. Everything is 2-inch thick. So we have 2 inches thick paneling. It's filled with insulation. Now, one thing that's different about the panels that you buy versus doing it yourself, when you buy them, they are apt to come with plywood backing. And that is no good for this project I'm going to show you. So I have to do a little minor surgery to some of my panels here. It's only a little 1/8 of an inch, if that, thick backing board. So what I'm going to do is just take a circular saw, very shallow cuts, and cut out most of this so that we can get acoustic energy to pass through it. Because what we need it to do is come through the panel and then bounce off the wall, which is going to be 2 inches behind where the panel will be hanging off the wall, and then it's going to bounce back and pass back through the material. Now what that does is give you almost spitting distance the difference between it being a 2-inch panel and a 4-inch panel. Just that air gap extends the working range of the absorption and pulls it down lower. As it stands, a 2-inch panel off the wall, you're going to get maximum absorption. It starts to taper off about 2K. By giving it a 2-inch air gap, we pull that down well below 1K, 800-900 before the absorption qualities start rolling off. And that is almost identical to just a 4-inch thick panel. It's not quite as efficient, but it still gives you the effect. So what that does is give you more working range in the room to absorb those frequencies between 800-900 and 2000 that you weren't otherwise getting, just by giving yourself an air gap. And I'm going to be making some quick spacers out of these 2-inch cubes, very inexpensive. Links to everything will be down below. And a couple packs of these Z-clips. Now I said these are better than the ones that you get. When you buy panels, both companies are really good about giving you not only a bunch of extra fasteners, but extra Z-clips as well. The problem is the ones that they give you have round holes. They work fine. I mean, they're the same thing. They work by, you have a Z shape in the middle. That's why they call them Z-clips. And they're French cleats. So they just hang like that. This will be on the wall. And it's very secure, very easy. No problem with that. But the holes are just holes. So when you invariably have one that's slightly off kilt from the ones on the wall, what you end up doing is having to drill new holes or place the clips in completely different places. These are slotted. Much easier to correct a mistake. So all you have to do is put one of the Z-clips on either side of the cube, and boom, now you've got your spacer. Now here's something you can try, and it may become a permanent modification to your room, or kind of like I did, you can use it as a go, no-go gauge to see if you want to invest in a more permanent solution. Let me show you. So I've got a lot of panels in here. These are just straight absorption panels, and I do have base traps. I've got 8 feet of base traps here in this corner, and this is really the only normal corner in the room. No corner in that doorway. Can't put one here because it's a doorway, and that one's open. Has its advantages. I don't have any side reflections. But here's the thing. Bass will build up in any corner, not just your verticals, also up at the ceiling and down in the floor. So I thought, well, you know what? Why don't I throw some stuff down on this big back wall here, because I've got the floor to wall corner and just complete empty space behind these seats. And I'm betting a lot of people are kind of going to be in this same situation. So what I did is threw down a whole bunch of extra pillows and comforters, and I just threw this black felt over top so I wouldn't see the white comforter, and it made a small difference. Not a huge difference, and certainly not as good as true insulation would be, but I've got a good foot in both directions here of a combination of dense and fluffy material, and it's certainly worth trying. You might have different results because it's going to depend on not only what you put down there, your room, but more importantly, where your main listing position is. Obviously, my main listing position is very close to the back wall, so the effect here, quite minimal. But you might have a big effect. And if you do this and you notice, hey, that's a nice effect, well, maybe you want to then buy or make your own bass trap for that location. Definitely worth trying. So for this next part, I'm going to go under the assumption that you're familiar with how to take basic REW measurements, and you need to use a timing reference. What you want to do here is take a measurement of each of your subwoofers, however many you have, separately. So I've got my left here, and I've got my right. I'm going to show you how to align two things at once. This could be subwoofers one to another, or subwoofers to your mains. First of all, I would go to your limits and set them from 10 to 200. Just makes it a lot easier to work with here. If you're not on the beta version of REW, you're going to have an actions button up here in the corner. Just click that and then click alignment tool on the pop-up. If you're on the beta, right click anywhere here in the graph and choose alignment tool. Now in this window here, we want to select two different measurements. I'm going to select my left and right subs. That's what I'm going to show you here. Now you're going to see these sliders. We're going to be using this one called Fine Delay Adjustment. And this is showing the phase relationship between whatever you have selected, whether it's two subs or a group or your subs and main or whatever. This is showing how they're timed at the different frequencies between one another. Now the entire reason this is a thing is because unless your room is perfectly symmetrical and your subs are exactly the same, and your main listing position is symmetrically placed between the two, you're going to have different timing at different frequencies between the different speakers or subs. These lines down here in the bottom, these are the phase charts. When you see the lines aligned, like these here, these diagonal lines, that means that at that frequency, the two speakers are in phase. They're coupled together. That frequency is arriving to your ears, or the microphone in this case, at the same time. We can see moving up here to 30 hertz, they are starting to diverge a little bit, but they're not terrible. And then back here around 40, they're back in phase, and then it all falls apart going above that here. So the solid black line is REW calculating what the total summed response is going to be. So the black line is, in this case, the left and right subs put together. The dashed line is the potential of what it could be if everything was perfect. Now you can see that I've got this big dip here around 82 hertz. And that's really close to where my crossover is. And that's in a range that's very important. And it's a big dip. This is not a null caused by my main listing position or the rear wall. This is just the two subs being out of phase at this point. And we can see here the phase information is just all out of whack. And if you look at here, the difference between the solid line, which is what I'm getting, and the potential, is leaving a lot on the table. And even a little bit right down here in the lower 30s. So how do we fix that? Well, we can fix it very simply by just adjusting the delay of, in this case, the right subwoofer. What you want to do is use this fine delay adjustment bar. Left will give you negative delay. Right will give you positive delay. Now, look at the phase lines as you move it up and down. You can see that it's shifting where that second sub is in relation to the first, and you can see that when it lines up, you get better positive summation. Now, there's no one best point here. You have to make a judgment call. Whatever room correction you're using, it's going to align them at some point, but it may not be at the best point for your room. For example, mine had it aligned, in the 30s and 40s, and that was fine, but this big suck out near the crossover is definitely audible. So let's start moving it up here, and we can see that the response in that area starts getting better and better and better. And you can see as we get in alignment at certain points, that actual summation point meets the best case scenario. So it's up to you to use this and just look at the response and find the best overall average. Now, what I'm looking for is, number one, to get rid of that big suck out around the crossover, but I don't want to do it at the expense of another area. So if I go too far here, we can see that, it looks great up in this area, but all of a sudden we're getting a suck out down in the 40s. So let's back that off. And what looks best to me overall, somewhere around 4.5. That gives me a little tiny dip here, but it's filling in a lot more information up in here, and most notably, that big suck out is gone. So I'm going to call 4.5 a really nice point here for a much better phase alignment. So all I have to do is go in the processor and add 4.5 milliseconds to that particular sub. Or if your particular software or processor doesn't support doing that, if you have a mini DSP, you can simply add 4.5 in this case to that particular sub. Now, let's say you have more than one sub, or you get these aligned and now you want to do the subs to your main alignment. All you do is click this aligned sum button down here. And what that'll do is say, okay, boom, you've just created a nice pair. Here's your new aligned sum. So now we can compare aligned sum to whatever else. Maybe you've got a third subwoofer, or maybe you've got your left and right mains that you want to compare. Whatever you want to compare. Now you've got your two subs with that adjustment, and you can then combine and compare against something else. And just keep going until whatever you've got looks good. Now, if the back of your panels are like these are from GIK, they just have mesh on the back. These are perfectly fine to go. These will let the energy go through the back, and we can just space them. And what I've done is, this is the bottom of the panel. I just screwed on a blank 2-inch block here without any Z-clips and put on a little self-adhesive furniture slider. This is going to space out the bottom so it stays parallel with the wall. Now we just hang the new spacers and hang the panels. There we go. Super inexpensive, very easy to do. Now, there are lots of ways to do this, make an air gap. This is just how I chose to do it. You may have to do something different if you're going to see the spacers. Mine are up high enough where I can't see any of the stuff behind it, so it makes absolutely no difference. But there you go. So I'm going to finish up the room. I've got those 3 to do, and I've got 2 more of these over on that other side. All right, so check this out. If you get these GIK hybrid panels, combination absorption and diffusion, when you pick your color, that's what you get. You pick your design and all that. Now, this is what we've had here. The wife picked out all the designs and colors for the room. I just said, I want a panel here, here, and here, and here, and she was good with this, so that's what we got. I'm in the middle of prepping it, and I just catch a glimpse of the edge of the wood here, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that a different stain? I just assumed, it was one solid piece of whatever, but they put different veneers on each side. I mean, it makes sense. You've got your inventory, so you laminate a whole sheet, different on each side, and then you route it out, and you've got 2 products with 1 command. Look what's on the other side. I love this. Tons more contrast, beautiful natural looking wood tone. It's a little deeper. Let me try to adjust the phone here because it looks really bright on my screen. There we go. That's much more what my eye is seeing. Oh, just a beautiful, almost mahogany look. And I love the contrast with the light gray fabric. So I'm flipping all my panels around. That's going to be a nice free upgrade too. Oh yeah, that was a very nice, unexpected side effect. I'll take it. Got the first panel opened up. Just used my oscillating tool. Went through the plywood no problem. Make sure you do this outside, well ventilated. Wear a mask because you don't want any of the insulation to be kicked up from whatever you cut through this with. Now all I have to do is make a new panel from acoustically transparent fabric, and I'm just going to staple it around. I left myself a good inch gap here all around of the plywood, so it's still there. It's still structurally supporting the entire panel and giving myself plenty of room here to staple into. It does have to be acoustically transparent fabric, specifically for this reason. It's also used for grill cloth. You can't just go to any fabric store and get some cheap thin fabric. If it's not acoustically transparent, it defeats the entire purpose of what we're doing, because we need all the sound to come in through the rear of this panel now, in addition to the front. It's going to be a double whammy. This is real cheap on Amazon. I'll put a link to everything down below. You need 1 yard per side per 2x4 foot panel. All right, and that is good enough. And the only reason we even need this is to stop any insulation material from coming out. That's all this is for. All right, 2 more to go. Now here's where the slots come in handy. When you get them all up there, you can adjust them to get them just right. I got the middle one set. This one needs to tilt just a little bit, so I'll adjust the one side, and then this one is just a smidge low, so I'll do both of them. Oh yeah, that is the way to go. And it matches the color of our table. And the other side done as well. Don't have any gaps on the sides. Luckily, this alcove cutout thing here is, within 2 millimeters, the perfect size for these panels. But you can see I got the gap there. There we go. Back to perfect. With the new gap for added performance. So I hope these tips help and give you some ideas, maybe something to try, at least something to check out and see if there's any room for improvement in your own room. See you next time.